Who exactly do we play as in Five Nights at Freddy's 6? Most people may say it's Michael Afton, but those people are wrong! Wait, what do you mean that's actually? I mean, those people are right! Not to give a basic answer to that question, but I do think it is Michael Afton. Originally, I thought maybe the job could have been intended for him and somebody else took it, but I can't imagine who could have possibly taken that job other than Mike or Jeremy Fitzgerald. But I don't think it's Jeremy. It's just my own personal bias, because I think Jeremy is the help wanted Jeremy and Cassie's dad, so he probably wasn't in the fire. And I haven't done the math myself, but I am aware many people have said, okay, but Jeremy's like super old or whatever. He's probably in like his 60s by the time of like Ruin. But like, I don't know, maybe just married a young woman, I don't know. I was gonna say Phone Guy could have been the protag, or at least the intended person, but I forgot he's fucking dead. I mean, you could argue that, considering how long Henry was away, Phone Guy could have been the intended person for the job. There is also a possibility that Mike was the intended person, and the protagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's 6. If you believe the Fritz Mike theory, then it wouldn't be a stretch to assume he used another alias. And as for Jeremy, I don't really think he was the intended person because we don't have any connections between Henry and Jeremy. If none of these conclusions are satisfying to you, I have one more, even less satisfying answer. Maybe the person this job was intended for was Henry's son, Sammy Emily. I know. Who? Yeah, I didn't read the books either. I don't really think that Sammy is a canon character in the games, but if I recall correctly, I think FNAF 6 did come out around the time the books were like coming out as well, or being written or something. So I don't think it's too much of a stretch. I don't think Sammy would be the FNAF 6 protagonist because of the way he's described in the books. Hot Charlie says something about how Sammy doesn't even know that she exists, and she doesn't know about Freddy's and all that, but he very well could have been in the same situation as Bot Charlie or Michael in the games. But I still don't think he's the main character of FNAF 6 because of what the enemies say to the protagonist.
Together again!
This line does not make sense if it's directed towards Sammy. If Sammy does exist, I don't think he even knows of Ennard. The only people Molten Freddy should know are William, Elizabeth, and Michael.
Bittersweet, but fitting.
This could be directed towards Sammy, but it fits more if it's directed towards Michael, seeing as he is his son.
You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, that's still me.
This could kind of be directed towards anybody except for, like, the missing kids, which obviously the missing kids are not the main characters of FNAF 6, right? But it feels personal, and again, it just makes a lot more sense if it's towards Michael.
You're not who I expected to see.
Now, I'm not trying to argue that Sammy is the main character of FNAF 6, but this does work for both of them. If the protagonist was Sammy, it would make sense for her to say that, perhaps expecting Michael or William, because she had encountered Michael in Sister Location. But it still makes sense for Mike, because if he is the protagonist, which he is, then this probably means she expected William, because in Henry's speech at the end of the game, we know she thought William had set this up.
It feels like home.
For this one, Mike is her brother and Sammy isn't, so I don't really think it would feel like home if she just encountered some random ass guy she has no connection to, rather than her brother. Obviously, So now I want to talk about Lefty, because Lefty literally has no lines, and while that could be to hide their identity until the end of the game, let's be real, Charlie would at least say something to Sammy, right? And I don't think any lines would spoil anything either. Not that it matters because the reveal's at the end of the exact same game, but considering how much all the other animatronics say that connects to Mike, and Lefty being connected to Sammy, literally saying absolute jack, then, it's probably Michael, and I don't think anyone's trying to argue that it is Sammy, but the only reason I bring any of this up is just because I feel like, those two are the most possible suspects. But I do think Sammy was the intended person and Michael is the actual person who was there. If you don't believe that Sammy is an actual character in the games, then, you could argue that this was, Robo Charlie the whole time. Like, you could just watch this entire video and pretend I'm saying Robo Charlie instead of Sammy. But, I don't really like that. So, I'm not saying that I necessarily believe this theory, or that I solved FNAF 6. I don't really know how I feel about this theory, but I just wanted to, get some ideas out there, because I don't think I've ever heard anybody suggest that maybe Sammy was the intended person for the job. And while everybody claims that Mike is the protagonist, nobody ever addresses the whole thing in Henry's speech where he says, "This job wasn't intended for you." And nobody ever talks about, okay, who was it intended for? So, that's all I wanted to say. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think we're playing as in Five Nights at Freddy's 6? And who do you think the job was intended for? I don't know what else to say. Bye!